I finished Assassin's Creed Shadows Claws of Awaji, the first DLC, and I want to share my story spoiler-free review in a video like this. I first thought maybe I want to do a main channel video, but then I want to like show you gameplay based on what I'm talking about. But I think it's way cooler if you experience everything for yourself, and just hearing me talk is one way to do it. Of course, we will still do main channel videos, but mostly focused on the new items, new mechanics, etc. Not really on my overall full impressions of the DLC. So, let's just get into it. I think, and I am happy to report that this is some of the best Assassin's Creed Shadows content there is. It might be the best, like, start to finish region in the game. There might be, like, some better moments in the main game of Assassin's Creed Shadows, but this whole package is better than, I think, some of the other regions we experienced. And that is because they are really doing, finally, and that's what I always want from a DLC, and I don't think every Assassin's Creed DLC delivers on that. They're finally trying some cool and interesting, compelling things with the gameplay they established. So, you start the DLC, again, no story spoilers, but you of course go to the island of Awaji, and they immediately find a really fun way to utilize having both Naue and Yasuke. And like I said in the preview, for the first time they are working together in gameplay. You see both characters, you follow one of the character, you have to protect Naue as Yasuke and the other way around. So I thought that was really cool. I want to see more of that because I really think that there are, in the narrative sense, the dual protagonist system kind of holds the game back. It's always weird when they finally find the boss and they're like, let's fight. And then one character's like, peace out. Yeah, you go take care of it. I will hang back or whatever. No, it feels like they're more in this together in this DLC, which is awesome. And what I also think is really cool is that Awaji has been taken over by multiple targets. And they, for one, have a bit more of a personality. You get a bit more time, like not a lot of extra time, but you kind of notice that, okay, this is the stealth kind of, like they have at one point a really cool introduction for each character with like a small cutscene, and I think that really helps. We've seen that before, of course, in these Assassin's Creed games, but yeah, it kind of helps here, and you really notice, okay, this one is the spy master, this is the more brute general, and this one is the stealthy kind of weirdo, and yeah, then you go after them, and taking them all out is completely different. So for the spy master, you have to do a black box mission, for example. There's a stealth boss fight for, yeah, the target where that makes sense. And I loved the one for the general. So basically, again, there are some cool systems that I did not see in the preview that were kind of surprising. So you, for example, at one point explore the world. They have a new system for the scouts. So when you use your scouts, basically because you are being hunted in Awaji, using your scouts will alert the region. So I usually play in guided mode, but I switched to exploration mode for this part of the session. And you have this, like, you use your scouts to find the point, and then it becomes a red circle, and then the presence of the enemy will be higher in that region, so it will be a bit more dangerous. And what happens is when you fight enemies in the open world, at one point you will, kind of like the mercenaries, and then one of the generals, so you have this, like, yeah, king, general, or whatever, like the upper guy, he has like a lot of soldiers under him, and when fighting in the open world, those soldiers will come and hunt you, and then by taking them out, you'll have to fight one less during the boss fight. So a really cool system is that you have this target, he's waiting for you on top of this fort, he has a lot of like generals under him, protecting him, but if you already kill them in the open world, you will not have to fight them during the boss fight. But if, like me, I wanted to see how far I could push it, so I only killed 2 of these generals, went to the like boss, to the target, and then I had an insane boss fight with all these guys fighting me. So I think that's very, very cool, like things that we have not seen before. And yeah, because it is end game content, you can only play this DLC after having finished the main story. They can experiment more with that. They can make it a bit more challenging. So I thought that was really cool. I played the whole DLC on Nightmare difficulty. There's one part in the final mission that was quite challenging, but it is doable. I did die quite a lot though, but I like that. But I did not really change my build or anything. One thing that the Valhalla DLCs did, and that I wish they would add to Awaji as well, is the blacksmith. Right now, you're on this like separate island. So every time you want to go to the hideout to upgrade your gear, change an engraving, you get quite some new items in this DLC. And every time I wanted to like put an engraving on it, I had to go back to the hideout with the loading screen. Then I had to go to the blacksmith, go back to Awaji, and then from like the Awaji, because you always spawn in at the same point when traveling from the main game map to Awaji, then I had to go back to where I was exploring. So I wish they would add like to one of your save houses a blacksmith, so you can change that stuff. But after the story, there are also a lot of new targets to hunt, and by going after them, you also find other points of interest basically in the map that kind of push you in that direction. What I also liked is that all these targets obviously give you a lot of rewards, but also in a unique style epic item. The perk I don't think is set, but I'm not sure about that. But the item has like a unique name and also a unique look. So there are of course legendary items in this game again, and the epic items have then a like recolor variant of that, which is kind of cool. There are 2 legendary sets for both characters in the DLC, and I almost got all of them, but there are some items that are very well hidden. You get like a note, and then you have to kind of piece together where that item is, which is kind of interesting. So I still need 2 of those. So yeah, there are legendary chests. There are castles, only 2 I think, or 3 castles. That of course give you a reward as well if you kill all the Samurai Daisho. Legendary chest and some of the quest rewards, and then also these hidden things, hidden legendary items. I do think one note, I've been running around and I cannot find it, so it is quite challenging. I will of course have a video up on how to get all these items when I know it. And of course, very early on in the DLC, you get the bow staff. And yeah, it feels kind of, for me going into this DLC, having already played it at Ubisoft Bordeaux, as you might know, I went to a Ubisoft Bordeaux event. Those are the developers of the DLC. They, of course, did Mirage. After Mirage, they immediately went into this DLC. They had 2 years, which is quite a long time for this DLC. And yeah, basically, for me, it was not new anymore. So I think that even like, I already saw some of the things, so when I played the DLC, like the full DLC, it was not new anymore. But I think finally picking up the bow staff early on, that's a really cool moment, because it's the most in-depth weapon they've added. You got multiple postures. I of course talked about this in the preview. Want to talk a bit more about it. And I think overall the perks they put on the legendary gear and also on the bow staff, very interesting. Some are linked to the new Yasuke abilities, so for the weapons from Yasuke, like you have a new wind slash, so you charge it up, and then bomb, one of the weapons. Make sure that the wind slash charge is faster. Sometimes you can get interrupted, so that is pretty cool. Yeah, one bow staff is kind of awesome, really focusing on one of the mechanics where you have to hit an enemy, and then when you continue with your combo, you hit an enemy again. If you then press the button at the right time, we've seen this before, but then you get like a sort of whirlwind around you. So I think they really thought of some clever perks. While I remember in the Wrath of the Druids, again the DLC they also did, the perks were a bit like really, really bad. Apart from the gay bollock, the spear of course, that we got from the mythical fight. But no, the bow staff, really awesome. As you might know though, you can get that for free. I'll be playing the mission very soon on stream, recording this before that. But yeah, of course, if you want the legendary weapons, you have to go play, go get Awaji. But yeah, you can already, after finishing the game, get a mission. I will do that again soon to get the weapon, so that's nice. But I think if you have the DLC, it's probably cooler to play the DLC and then get the bow staff that way, and then maybe go back to do the mission, I think. Because, yeah, it makes a bit of sense in the story when you get the bow staff. So yeah, overall, I'm kind of positive about this DLC. Again, I think it's the best Shadows content maybe that there is, which is kind of awesome. Now, there are of course some things where I'm like, there are no interesting open world activities. For example, you see the orange dots again. They're all the same. They did not try to change things up. Maybe have a lost page somewhere, or like some new mechanic, or the Kagureka or the meditation minigame. They're longer, so you have to press more buttons for a longer time. Well, what the fuck? No, there's nothing crazy like that. They just put them in the world. They did try to change the trails up, but it actually did not work for me, really. So you will go there if you just follow the targets. You will not miss it. But they basically made sure that both Yasuke and Naoe can reach the end. And the end this time is not a chest that gives you an item and then a knowledge point. No, it's a Sumi-E painting. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, it's kind of... There's no clear path. It's kind of like random. You're just going with the flow, and the environment is kind of cool. It's kind of missing that, okay, this is a core activity. It just feels like something in the open world that you just ran into, and I wasn't like that impressed by it at all. And overall, I really miss that mythical flavor. Like, there are some kind of interesting targets that you have to hunt down, but in Valhalla, the Wrath of the Druids DLC, after finishing the story, of course, there were some kind of crazy things happening during that story, especially the boss fight at the end. And then also having that mythical boss fight as kind of a secret end thing that gave you the best weapon in the game, the Gay Bollock. I think that this DLC could have used something like that as well. Some, oh my god, awesome. Right now, it's basically like the main game. You go through the main story, you fight the boss, and okay, what's next? Oh, there are some targets, and they're kind of like nothing interesting. I really, yeah, I love this game. I'm having a great time ever since they put out a New Game Plus, and I get like a ton of things to upgrade. I'm having way more fun actually with it than I had at launch, and at launch I enjoyed myself, of course, as well. But the lack of mythical and Isu and anything that makes Assassin's Creed, like, we've had so many Japanese open world RPG, or like basically open world RPGs in Japan, right? And when Assassin's Creed goes in, like, makes their or puts their spin on a historical setting, you also expect the things that make the franchise unique, and then not exploring that at all feels like such a wasted opportunity. And it's maybe because Hexe will be super mythical and will be over the top that they want to keep this grounded, but it's to the detriment of this game. I really think that always, okay, it's grounded, and then at the end, bam, the Isu thing happens. So it's a bit more than what you maybe expect. I really miss that in this DLC, sadly. It's sadly not here. Of course, if you have any questions, I want to look at how much time I spent on this. But I think it's quite a lot. I think it's probably like 7 hours or something that I spent doing everything. Again, if you don't go to that like military general guy immediately with all his generals still around, you probably need some more time to clear them out on the map and then go make the boss fight easier for you. So maybe that extends the time a bit. But I overall think it's a really solid addition. Again, there are a lot of new weapons. For $25, I think if you love the game, I think it's worth it. Of course, if you pre-ordered Shadows, you get this for free. It's maybe not as big as a Wrath of the Druids or something, but I had way more fun with this over the course of the DLC. There are some small side missions near the end as well, nothing too crazy, but I overall think that they did a great job with this DLC, and it's a really good addition to Shadows. Of course, let me know what you think after having played it. Subscribe, and check out the main channel, of course, for content on the DLC as well. I will speak to you very soon. Goodbye.